Welcome to the Copperfield Electric Podcast.
Glad to be here for this deep dive.
Yeah, we have a really great mission today. We are exploring the art and, honestly, the pretty intense science behind how to layer outdoor lighting for maximum impact.
It really is a science, more than people realize.
Totally. And we're pulling our insights today from the experts at Copperfield Electric, a trusted, family-owned, 24-hour electrician team based right here in Orange County.
Right.
But I want to set the scene for you listening right now. Picture this. You walk into a friend's backyard at night, and you're hit with one of two extremes.
Oh, I know exactly what you're going to say.
Right. Either you are, inching along, terrified you're going to step on a rake in the pitch black darkness.
Yeah, the terrifying void.
Exactly. Oh. Or, on the flip side, you're instantly blinded by this single massive floodlight that makes you feel like you're sitting in a police interrogation room.
Yeah, that interrogation room aesthetic is incredibly common.
It's the worst.
It really is. And it stems from a pretty basic misunderstanding of how human vision actually works at night. People just think, well, I need to see the yard.
So they buy the biggest bulb they can find.
Exactly. They buy the brightest fixture and just blast the entire space from one single point. But true outdoor lighting design it's about finesse.
It's about depth.
Right. Yes, transforming a flat, dark yard into a space that has depth, rhythm, and most importantly, safety.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before you just run off to the hardware store and start throwing a bunch of fixtures in your cart, you really need a master plan.
You absolutely do.
If you're listening to this and thinking, oh, I'll just buy some cheap solar path lights on the internet and stick them in the dirt. Let me stop you right there.
Yeah, please don't do that.
Right. Because professional designers use something called the three-layer lighting theory.
Which is foundational. If you take away nothing else from this deep dive today, remember that good lighting is an ecosystem.
It's never just one light source.
Never. And the absolute foundation of that ecosystem is the first layer, which is ambient lighting.
Ambient lighting. So this is the base.
Exactly.
It's this soft overall glow, the light that lets you actually navigate your outdoor space, walk from the house to the patio safely without pulling out your smartphone flashlight.
We're talking about your wall lights, maybe the post lights at the end of the driveway.
Or those really nice soft string lights draped over a seating area.
Yeah, those are great for ambient light, but you really can't stop there.
Because it's not enough on its own.
No, because ambient light sets the baseline, but it isn't meant to help you perform detailed tasks. It's just way too diffuse.
Got it.
So that introduces the second layer, which is task lighting.
Task lighting, okay.
Yeah, this is highly functional, very directed light, focused purely on specific areas where you're actually doing something that requires, visual acuity.
Right, because nobody wants to be guessing if the chicken on the grill is fully cooked by squinting in the dark.
No one wants raw chicken.
Exactly. So if you have an outdoor kitchen, a grill station, or a dining table, you absolutely need task lighting.
And importantly, this layer includes step lights.
Oh, step lights.
Yeah, illuminating the vertical risers on your outdoor stairs is a massive safety requirement.
That makes perfect sense. So we have ambient for the baseline, task for function, and then we bring in the third layer.
The fun one. Accent lighting.
Accent lighting is pure drama.
It really is. It's the visual interest that makes a yard feel like a high-end resort.
I love this part of the design process. This is where you put a targeted spotlight on that beautiful, mature specimen tree in the corner of the yard.
Or highlight a water feature.
Yeah, a cascading water feature, garden art, or even just washing a textured stone wall in light. It's kind of think of it like painting a landscape on a canvas.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks. The ambient lighting is that broad background wash that sets the tone. The task lighting is the functional subject. But the accent lighting, those are the vivid pops of color that draw the eye.
What's fascinating here is the psychology behind why that three-layer rule works so well.
Oh, the psychology of it.
Yeah, and why ignoring it completely ruins a yard. See, a very common mistake is trying to light every single feature in the yard at the exact same brightness.
Just blasting everything equally.
Right. And when you do that, you completely flatten the space visually. It removes all the natural shadows.
Which ruins our depth perception, I assume.
Exactly. The real goal of the three-layer theory is actually contrast.
Wait, let me push back on this for a second.
Sure.
If the overarching goal of lighting a dark yard is safety and visibility, why would we want shadows? Isn't it just easier and safer to use the brightest bulbs everywhere so you can see every single inch of the grass perfectly clearly?
I mean, that is a very logical assumption, but it actually creates a terrible visual experience and a physical one due to human physiology.
How so?
When you're walking outside at night, your pupils dilate, right? They open up wide to let in as much light as possible.
Right, to see in the dark.
So if you're suddenly hit with a blast of bright light from an overpowering fixture, your pupils instantly constrict.
Oh, wow.
And that reaction actually makes it much harder to see the darker areas around you. It essentially induces a temporary night blindness.
That makes so much sense. I've totally experienced that.
Right. So by deliberately allowing some areas to glow warmly, while intentionally letting other areas fall into shadow, you avoid that glaring physiological reaction.
So the contrast forces your eye to move naturally through the space.
Exactly, from one focal point to the next, creating depth without blinding you.
So the shadows are literally just as important as the light.
They really are.
That completely changes how you look at a backyard. We are engineering the contrast. But how do we actually achieve that perfect glow physically?
Well, there's a very specific metric called color temperature, which is measured in kelvins.
Kelvin's right. I always see those numbers on the bulb boxes at the store.
Color temperature is critical.
Yeah.
For residential outdoor lighting, you almost always want to stay right in the 2,700 to 3,000 Kelvin range.
So what is actually happening at 2,700 kelvins?
Well, our brains are hardwired by evolutionary psychology to react to light temperatures. At 2,700 to 3,000 kelvins, you're producing a very warm, slightly yellow-orange light.
Like a firelight.
Exactly, or a setting sun. That specific temperature triggers our brains to relax. Plus, it's incredibly flattering to natural materials.
It makes wood look richer.
Yes, brings out the earthy tones in stone, makes your plants look lush. But if you go higher on the Kelvin scale, say up to 5,000 kelvins, you start getting into cooler, bluer lights.
Which mimics harsh midday sun.
Yeah.
Or like a commercial fluorescent office space.
Exactly. It signals our brains to be alert, which is the exact opposite of what you want in a backyard oasis.
You feel like you're in a commercial parking lot.
Precisely. And this ties directly into how bright the bulbs should be, too. The sources advise keeping walkways roughly between 100 to 200 lumens.
Let's clarify that real quick for anyone standing in the hardware store totally confused. Think of lumens as the actual volume of light pouring out of the bulb, whereas watts are just a measure of the electrical energy it eats to make that light.
Right. So 100 to 200 lumens is the volume of light.
Got it.
And that volume is enough to illuminate the path so you don't trip, but not so much that it triggers that pupil constriction we just talked about.
And placement is just as scientific as the bulb itself.
Oh, absolutely. The general rule of thumb for path lights is spacing them 6 to 8 feet apart.
6 to 8 feet.
And keeping wall fixtures mounted at a sweet spot of 66 to 72 inches high.
But wait, if you line up those path lights perfectly straight with too many lumens, don't you get what designers call the runway effect?
Yes. Your garden path suddenly looks like an airport tarmac.
And nobody wants an airport tarmac next to their hydrangea.
Exactly. So we stagger them, alternating sides of the path. But there is a very important exception to that 6 to 8 foot spacing rule.
The 57 rule.
Yes, the 57 rule. When your pathway curves or when you're lighting outdoor steps, you have to tighten that spacing up to roughly 5 to 7 feet apart.
Why is the geometry of the path dictate the placement of the light?
Because when you place a path light, it casts a cone of illumination downward. On a straight path, 6 to 8 feet allows the edges of those cones to gently overlap.
But on a curve.
On a curve or a step, the geometry of the ground changes drastically. If you keep the wide spacing on a curve, the cones of light no longer overlap properly.
You end up with dark gaps between the fixtures.
Yes, and stepping into an unexpected dark gap on a curved stone path is exactly how you lose your footing and fall.
So skipping layers or miscalculating the spacing geometry creates actual physical hazards. That is a massive realization.
It really is.
Another DIY disaster the sources highlight is when homeowners get, incredibly excited about the dramatic accent lights, like uplighting a giant oak tree, but they skip the ambient layer entirely.
Oh, I see that all the time.
They jump straight to the accent fixtures, leaving their actual walkways dangerously dark. So you have this beautiful glowing tree in the distance, but you break your ankle trying to walk across the patio to look at it.
And that physical hazard leads to an even bigger, more invisible danger. because a yard can look absolutely stunning on your planning sketch.
Sure.
You can have your 3 layers perfectly mapped out, your kelvins dialed into 2700, path lights perfectly spaced.
But
But if the physical wiring cannot support the design, the lights flicker, they dim, or worse, they pose a severe shock risk.
here's where it gets really interesting. Because what seems like a purely aesthetic, artistic landscaping project is actually heavily anchored in strict safety codes and physics.
Entirely.
Let's look under the hood. The vast majority of landscape lighting doesn't run on the standard 120 volts that powers your indoor wall outlets.
No, it runs on low voltage, usually 12 volts.
Right, which has to be stepped down from your home's main power by a heavy piece of equipment called a transformer.
And this is where the DIY approach usually completely falls apart.
How so?
Well, if you buy a cheap, undersized transformer, or if you use poor quality thin wiring, you run headfirst into a phenomenon called voltage drop.
I want to visualize this for a second. Think of your electrical wire like a garden hose, and the electricity is the water.
That's a great way to think about it.
If you have a massive 200-foot garden hose that is really narrow, the water pressure right at the spigot is strong.
Right.
But by the time the water pushes all the way through to the end of that long, narrow hose, it's just a sad trickle.
Exactly. Voltage drop is the electrical version of that.
So the fixtures closest to the house get plenty of power and shine brightly, but the electricity literally loses energy as it travels down an inadequate wire.
So the lights at the far end of the yard are noticeably dimmer. The resistance in the wire literally eats the voltage.
Wow.
A professional electrician has to manually calculate the total wattage of all the fixtures on a specific run, mathematically size the transformer appropriately, and select the correct, thicker gauge of copper wire.
So that mathematical calculation is the only way to ensure that the accent light 80 feet away from the house is just as brilliantly bright as the task light sitting right next to the transformer.
Exactly. And the physics calculations are just the start, because then we run into strict legal and safety requirements.
The National Electrical Code, the NEC.
Right. It governs exactly how power operates outside. For instance, any outdoor receptacle and permanent landscape lighting absolutely requires GFCI protection.
GFCI, ground fault circuit interrupter.
Yes. This is a life-saving technology. It monitors the current going out and the current coming back.
And if there's a difference.
If there is even a microscopic imbalance, meaning the electricity has found an unintended path to the ground, potentially through a person or a puddle, the GFCI cuts the power in a fraction of a second.
Preventing a lethal shock.
Exactly.
And those rules get even more intense when you start dealing with special zones in the yard. Like if you were using accent lighting around a water feature, a fountain, a koi pond, a pool, you have to deal with bonding.
Which is a term most people don't know, but it is critical.
Because water and electricity are an incredibly dangerous combination. Bonding physically connects all the metal parts around the water feature to the earth, creating a safe detour for rogue electricity.
So it doesn't use the water or you as a path.
Right.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is why stringing together a bunch of extension cords is a disaster waiting to happen.
Oh, for sure.
The same strict codes apply to those outdoor kitchens we mentioned for task lighting.
Because an outdoor kitchen is drawing power for a grill, maybe a fridge, a blender, plus the lighting overhead. That's a huge pull.
You can't just plug all of that into an existing outdoor outlet and hope for the best.
No way.
The electrical code usually requires an outdoor kitchen to have its own dedicated circuit pulled straight from the main panel.
And of course, every single fixture, wire, and outlet you use has to be explicitly rated for weatherproof outdoor use to withstand UV rays and water.
Oh.
You cannot repurpose indoor fixtures outside.
Right.
So all of this incredible web of voltage calculations, GFCI requirements, bonding grids, and dedicated circuits, this is exactly why hiring a licensed electrician is non-negotiable for a project of this scale.
An expert doesn't just make the lights turn on. They design the hidden system architecture that keeps your home from burning down.
They map out the wire trenches so they're safely hidden from your gardener's lawnmower.
And they set up the separate circuits, which is what actually gives you control over the design.
How so?
Well, if everything is on one circuit, the yard is either all on or all off.
Right.
But proper electrical design allows you to have your ambient lights on one switch for casual evenings, your task lights on a separate switch for cooking, and your accent lights on a timer.
Without a professional architecting that system, you just have a tangled mess of wires and a trip breaker every time the sprinklers turn on. And beyond the electrical hazards, there are pure design hazards when you DIY. We've all seen the classic mistake of a homeowner installing a powerful spotlight to hit a tree, but they accidentally angle it up directly into their neighbor's second-story bedroom window.
Oh, that's a quick way to start a war with your neighbor.
Right. To execute this vision safely, beautifully, and without angering the neighbors, you need a professional team you can trust, which is exactly why the insights from Copperfield Electric are so valuable.
Because they aren't just reading theories, they are the people actually out in the field doing this complex mathematical work correctly.
Their field experience is crucial because they see the real-world consequences of poor wiring every single day. Let's look at their credentials, because if you're in Southern California, this is the blueprint for who you want to call.
Okay.
Copperfield Electric is a family-owned business, highly rated, and fully licensed. Their license number is 1094740.
And why does that number matter?
It proves they're fully bonded and insured. If something goes wrong during a massive trenching project in your yard, their insurance carries the liability, not your homeowner's policy. Plus, they back up their work with a 100% satisfaction guarantee.
And their operation is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Which is a massive advantage. Because electrical emergencies like a sparking outdoor transformer after a heavy rainstorm do not wait for regular Monday morning business hours.
Never. And they cover a huge footprint across Orange County.
Yeah, their head office is centrally located at 1581 Copperfield Drive in Tustin, but their service area is massive. They're working in Irvine, Anaheim, Santa Ana, Costa Mesa, Newport Beach, Mission Viejo, Huntington Beach, Orange, and Fullerton.
Which means they see every type of environmental wear.
Exactly. They know exactly how the salty coastal air in Newport Beach degrades an outdoor fixture differently than the dry inland heat of Anaheim.
That geographic experience dictates the materials they use. And it's also worth noting that their expertise covers the entire electrical spectrum of your property, not just the landscaping.
Right.
If you're bringing them out to evaluate the yard's voltage drop, it is the perfect time to look at the overall electrical health of the property.
That is a great point. They handle LED lighting upgrades inside the house for better energy efficiency. They manage full electrical panel upgrades, which is essentially replacing the brain of your home's power system.
Which is a massive necessity right now if you are looking to install an EV charging station for an electric vehicle.
Totally. And they handle new construction wiring. So if you're building an accessory dwelling unit, an ADU in that newly lit backyard, they can wire the entire structure from the ground up, keeping everything up to code.
They do it all.
So what does this all mean? For you, the listener, who is maybe looking out the window right now at a flat, uninspiring, or genuinely hazardous dark yard, what is the ultimate takeaway?
The takeaway is that a poorly lit yard isn't just an aesthetic failure. It is a missed opportunity to expand your actual living space, and it's frequently an active electrical hazard.
Yeah.
What a team like Copperfield Electric brings to the table is honest, accurate diagnostics. An electrician who calculates voltage drop mathematically, sizes the transformers correctly, and installs the right fixtures the first time is going to save you a significant amount of money and headache in the long run.
They take that flat, dangerous yard and engineer it into a beautifully layered, highly functional space that works just as hard for you after dark as it does in the daylight.
It really is a complete transformation of how you experience your own home.
It is. Well, we have covered a lot of ground today. Yeah. We started by entirely abandoning the idea of just buying a single blinding floodlight.
Thankfully.
Instead, we learned to engineer the 3 layers. The soft ambient layer for navigation, the bright task layer for functional workspaces, and the dramatic accent layer for focal points.
And we explored the physiology of glare and the science of spacing, learning why we need those gently overlapping pools of light rather than the glaring runway effect.
And why warm 2700 Kelvin color temperatures relax our brains. Plus, we dove deep into the hidden engine of it all.
The electrical mechanics.
Yes, we established that a beautiful landscape design is entirely dependent on safe, code-compliant electrical systems.
Mathematical calculations for voltage drop, perfectly sized transformers, life-saving GFCI protection,
bonding grids around water, and dedicated circuits for heavy draw areas like outdoor kitchens. It is a delicate, complex balance of visual art and electrical science.
Absolutely.
So if you're ready to stop guessing, stop tripping breakers, and start layering your outdoor lighting the right way, you really need to bring in the pros. We highly encourage you to reach out to Copperfield Electric for a design consultation to get your outdoor lighting built safely, beautifully and strictly to code.
You can reach their team by calling 626-622-9694 or 949-806-3807.
Or, if it is easier, just book a consultation directly through their website.
Consider the darkness in your yard not as empty space, but as a blank canvas waiting for intention.
I love that.
Walk your yard tonight and ask yourself, what unique architectural feature or beautiful, mature specimen tree is currently hiding in the pitch black, just waiting to become your new focal point?